Hey everyone, today I want to share my experience with the DRX9000 machine in hopes to help somebody who may be looking into the machine or the treatment while dealing with any herniated disc of their own. Before I go on with the review and my experience, I want to say that my review does not reflect on any of the staff members at the facility that I had my treatment done. They was very nice and very professional. As a result of that, I will not say the name or the location of the facility that I was being treated at. If I do somewhere along this video, it's strictly by mistake. So with that being said, I have had a L4, L5 disc herniation since 2018. I had a laminectomy done in 2020 or 2021. Uh, it was not very successful. My disc blew back out in about 6 months after the surgery, and I have been on a downhill slope pretty much ever since. So, with all that in mind, let's get on with the review. All right, so what is a DRX9000 machine? If you have a disc herniation and you have been doing what I have done for years and just tons and tons of research and trying to find that magic, that godsend that will cure you, sooner or later you will come across the DRX9000 machine. This was not recommended to me by a doctor. I found this after years of searching and trying everything else on the planet. There's not a thing that I have not tried before this point. So the DRX 9000 is kind of like a traction machine. You get strapped to a table, which I'll show a photo of. They strap you to a table and they basically just pull apart your vertebrae. So based on the flyers that they have and based on what they claim, it has an 86% success rate, which you would think would be pretty high. Well, you would think is pretty high. In your standard traction tables, they have about a 40% success rate. So the difference between these, the traction machine, it doesn't just focus on one vertebrae, it straps you to a table and it pulls you apart. So it's pulling the vertebrae apart, hoping to cause your disc to go back inside to where it was supposed to be. The um, the DRX 9000 machine, they claim 80% of the pull weight goes to a single vertebrae. And at the angle that it pulls you, it's supposed to help the disc go back into where it originally is supposed to be and away from pushing on any nerves, causing sciatica, leg pain, back pain. Um, Personally, I don't know how it differs. I've been on both, and both machines kind of feel the same as far as like pulling or as far as setup, I guess. I will say the traction machine caused me to have a lot of pain whenever I would get off the machine. The DRX 9000, the majority of the time, I didn't really notice pain coming off the machine. So they claim that it has a way of telling in real time how your body's reacting to the pull. I don't understand that, but it's just something I want to throw out there that there is a difference between the traction machine and the DRX 9000. So, how long is the treatment? At this facility, they done 2 sessions a week for 12 weeks, totaling 24 sessions. They said that is the standard. Um, I have read online that it's 4 to 5 days a week. I questioned them on this, and they told me that that is a old way of treatment, and it is more successful doing it at 2 sessions per week. So that is what we went with. All right, so let's go ahead and go over cost. Guys, this treatment is ridiculously expensive in my opinion. Your health insurance most likely will not cover it. It is considered selective care. So the cost, I have it here. Most other facilities charge you about $5,280. This facility charged $3,370. And you do, from what I understand, At the facility I was at, you do have to pay up front. And from what I was reading online, going over reviews from other people who have been talking about this machine, others say that you do have to pay up front at those locations as well. So cost was a very big downer. I could handle the monthly payments type of ordeal, but you had to pay up front. So now that cost is out of the way, during these sessions, they say that once you start, you should not stop. Um, People have done reviews who have said during the first 1 to 8 sessions, they notice no difference. During the 8 to 12, they are in a little bit of pain, it's uncomfortable. And then after the 13 to 18, somewhere around there, that they feel so much better. With my experience, I went through session 1 through 23 not really having many flare ups. I might have been sore a little bit off and on, but nothing that caused me to get worse. But unfortunately, nothing that actually helped me get better in the slightest. There was a few days here and there that I wasn't as horrible with the back pain, but my initial reason that I went in was I'm having so many issues in my calves when I stand up. The pressure is horrible at times. So I dove into this hoping that it would help heal my calves from the irritation of my nerves being smashed. Unfortunately, it did not. It did not help me whatsoever. I'm out $3,000. The treatment was 4 hours away, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. In my 12 weeks, I spent um, roughly $1,200 in gas to go up there. I do drive an SUV. So this is the part that I do want to warn about. Um, Before my last session, I had a appointment with the doctor who we went over that I'm not getting any better. I'm not getting any worse, thankfully, but I'm just not doing better. She wanted to go from my L4 to my L5 and just see if there would be any difference in reaction. And that is when things took a turn for the worst. My last session, I'll circle back. She did mention that we can even give a couple treatments for free if I have a reaction on my L5 that's positive. Um, Went in for my L5, done the treatment. Treatments last about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes total. By the time I got home, I had a miserable flare up. I'm talking, I had the worst flare up of my life. Um, for the first time in years, I was truly in fear that something is horribly wrong. Um, I ended up canceling my last 2 appointments out of fear. There was no way I could make that drive up there, and I felt that it was going to be a permanent injury that just got so much worse. I uh, I could not bend or lean even slightly. Just bending about this motion would be so bad. Um, Getting off the toilet or off the couch, there was times that it caused me to yell in pain. And I have not had a flare up like that in a very, very long time. Um, we're really unsure of why my L4, I could handle the tension, everything was fine. But the L5, 10 to 15 minute session was just so much on my body that for almost 2 weeks, I felt like I was possibly going to be in crippling pain. I absolutely feared that this was going to be permanent. and my world kind of came crashing down until the flare up started to calm down. But weeks later, I'm still not back to how I was. It's certainly not as bad as what it was before the L5 pull. Um, my sciatica feels deeper whenever I sit at times. And yeah, during that initial flare up, I could not lift my leg forward. I could not even look down without it pulling and attacking my lower back. By the grace of God, that flare up has went away, and I am just back to where I was for the most part before my treatment. Guys, I wish I could give a positive review. I had so much faith that the DRX9000 was going to save me from a second back surgery. Um, I'm trying to be positive in the review. I'm trying to be quick about it. So, I, my recommendation, or if I could go back, I wouldn't have done the treatment. I hate to say that because I was just so excited. I was so positive that this was going to be my savings grace. There was a couple people in the facility who I overheard they was doing somewhat better. One guy said that he was doing better. Another individual said their back felt better, but their leg pain stayed the same. Which, I mean, that does make sense as far as if your nerves have been smashed for a long period of time, the pressure can be released from the nerve. Your disc can pull away from the nerve, and your nerve can still be indented. And it can take time for your nerve pain to heal. The only way to really know is over time, or you have a new MRI and it sees that your disc is no longer smashing a nerve. Which, during my flare up, I got a hold of my pain management doctor within the first 3 or 4 days. I told him how miserable I was, and he wanted to do another MRI. Um, After a week or so went by, it started to calm down to my usual pain, like I mentioned. So as of right now, we can't really afford the MRI, so we are holding off on that to see um, if it did pull any pressure off my L4 L5, or at worst case scenario, I blew an L5 disc, because I'm telling you, it was miserable. But enough ranting on. Do I recommend the DRX9000? If you've tried everything else, I would say yes if you can afford it, but just know there is risk, like with everything else. But I know what it's like feeling completely lost and like there's no hope. The machine has a possibility of helping you, but please don't just take out a loan and dive right in. Um, they claim that it has a majorly high success rate, and I want to believe that it's true and that it just didn't work for me. Um, Guys, I'm just out my gas. I'm out my 3,000 some loan. So about $4,000, almost $4,500 total if you count up gas and treatment. Um, I'm no worse. That is really my big take in my review. Is it didn't make me any worse, but it really didn't help me whatsoever. I'm going to continue searching. By the grace of God, I will eventually find my healing, and I believe that you will also. Um, Guys, I'm here for you. I really am. I truly understand what it's like going year after year, losing hope, being in massive pain, wondering what's going to happen. We can get through this. If it's not the DRX 9000, there is a cure out there that we just can't give up. We have to believe that we are made for more, that we have purpose, and that purpose isn't to live in pain for the rest of our lives. Never give up. And Guys, if there's any questions that I didn't answer, because I did try to like rush through this a little bit because I don't want my video to be too long, and I don't like ranting on. I have a problem with ranting. Please message me. There might be a lot that I'm missing in my video that I am going to wish that I put in the video later, but I'm just going to release this and go with that. I just gave a very quick review of how I feel about the treatment. So, God bless. I do hope you find healing if you are going through this, and stay strong.